others have been incarcerated years past, and some of us have never been incarcerated, but we support the cause. And we love the cause, and we support the cause. So we all committed, and we're all involved. We're very happy to be here with you, and we have many reasons why we can celebrate gathering like this. But one of the first and most important reasons is that we want to salute you, those of you and us who have survived mass incarceration. It is a phenomena that hasn't happened, as far as I know, in the history of the world, in the same way that it's happened in the last 2 generations, since about mid-1970s, this movement of mass incarceration, who some of the social scientists call it the new Jim Crow. Others call it slavery by another name. And we know from the Constitution of the United States, the 13th Amendment says that slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime, is prohibited in the United States. They say it differently, but they make an exception for punishment for a crime. So they're telling us by law that they can enslave us or force us into involuntary servitude if they can convict us of a crime. And so this is what we survived. So we salute you for surviving. And this is a story that we have to tell about ourselves. Other people who have survived tragedies and genocide and these tremendous catastrophes, they tell their story. And they tell their story all the time. So we have to remind ourselves that we have to be the ones that tell our stories. Gatherings like this will remind us about what we survived and about the stories that we hope to tell, you individually and us collectively. So this organization is one of the originators of the Bandbox movement. Mr. Nunn has won numerous awards and was a member of the national delegation of formerly incarcerated persons asking White House staff for an executive order to ban the box. So we're going to bring on before you our brother, Dorsey Nunn.
My name is Dorsey Nunn, and I'm Executive Director of Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. And I could be the first formerly incarcerated person to be the head of a public interest law office in the country. It's not just legal services for prisoners with children. And I hate to say I'm not an attorney. But at some point in this mix, I figure like, if we're going to have a civil rights movement about our issues, then the attorneys should work for us. So at this point in Legal Services for Prisoners with Children, we got 4 attorneys working for us. We got a staff of 13. The majority of people on staff is formerly incarcerated people. Because I feel like the social criteria for the truth is a practice. So if there's a lot of people saying that they're representing us, and none of us is employed, none of us is on their board, they may not be doing a good job. You know, so when we talk about ban the box, it's that question, have you been convicted of a felony, have you been arrested? And it's not just the question about employment. When I came home from prison, it was the bane of my existence. It wasn't just, have you been convicted of a crime for the job? When I started looking around, I seen it on the housing application. I seen it on the application when I tried to get on welfare. And I mean, when I tried to get on welfare, the question even got more extensive. Is anybody in your family been convicted of a felony? You know, so I guess they was gonna chase everybody. And some of us took a delegation of formerly incarcerated people into the White House because we wanted to raise the issue of the box. And when I got there, I wish I could tell you the first thing that I said when I got there and met with the staff of the White House was ban the box. That wasn't the first thing that I asked for. And it wasn't the first thing that I thought I should notify him of. When I got there, I told him that my son may not be going to get Skittles and iced tea. He could be going to get a 40 ounce and a blunt. And I still expect him to make it home safely. Because I wasn't always the person that I was. And given opportunity, I grew and I changed. So, when we talk about ban the box and the president says that he's gonna issue executive action for the federal government, that's only part of the job being done. What we were asking for was the president to issue an executive order banning the box for private contractors. And the reason that we were asking that is that private contractors got control of 25% of the labor market in the country. If you're paying tax dollars, they shouldn't be able to use your tax dollars to exclude you from working in the country and the company that you're paying. So when we unemploy, these numbers are significant. It just doesn't impact the formerly incarcerated person. It impacts all of us. When I was in prison, because like some of us in this room, historically, if you tracked it down statistically, we came through prison at the most violent period of U.S. prison history. The most violent, in terms of the number of people who were stabbed, the number of people who died, and all the rest of it. So for me, it's not just a question of that my survivability was contingent upon my spirituality. My survivability was contingent upon me having strong Muslims all around me. Because without that, I don't think that I would have survived that experience. Because some of the brothers who had my back physically and not just spiritually. So I just need to say that at the period that I came to, we watched each other's back. And some parts of that was across religious lines and all the rest of it. And some of the strongest black men that I've ever met came out of the mosque. And I think I survived that experience based on their strength for a number of years. Thank you.
Come here! Come here! Come here!
I appreciate our brother's words. The organizations, all of us are none, and legal services for prisoners with children. We have, should have some contact information we'll have available for you afterwards. About it, and his wife, Daya, for our next presentation. So.
You know, if it wasn't for me being a servant to God, I wouldn't be here speaking, and I just wouldn't be in this situation. My aim is to please God. And we can only please God by serving each other and doing the right thing for each other. So with that being said, let me just dig into where we are. Well, let me just say this. You know, I started off with prison Dawah services here at Masjidul Waritheen, and I know we have some prison Dawah services members here. So just really raise your hand, stand up, do something, because I seen y'all. I seen y'all, and Mikhail, you back there, Muslim? I seen you. Okay, all right, there you go. All right, so you know, and I came to the Imam Shuaib, and he's going to be speaking a little later. And I do hope that he talks about marriages, because, you know, brothers and sisters too, y'all need to listen to this man. Sisters, just let me ask you, you all that know Imam Shuaib, is he on target? Yes. Is he on target about relationships? Yes. Woo! Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So I hope some of you brothers, you know, will listen to him and gain from there. But I started off with prison Dawah services, and first I came to the masjid. I wanted to see if there's any help, any support for my man, you know. So I came to the masjid. I mean, we talked, we collaborated, you know. You know, he suggested some things. He, you know, suggested I even, you know, just see what's happening here. And I did. And, you know, I found this to be just a loving place. You know, the brothers and the sisters, they care. They care about those that were incarcerated and those that are out. You know, that's where my thrust began for really fighting, you know, for this cause. So at any rate, my husband finally came home. After 38 years, finally came home, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And Sheikh Raouf is so right when he says about how it doesn't, you know, it's hard for the marriages to survive. We do have our ups and downs, but we're here, you know, and I think that we're here because of our both conviction and love for Allah and being a servant to God. You know, that's the glue that keeps us together, and I always knew that was it. But anyway, my husband and I, but more so my husband, you know, from spending all that time there, wanted to do something, you know, to change the situation here, you know. And so he developed, and, you know, I rode along with him on this development, inserting what I could, when I could, on Arise. And Arise is the alternative reform for the individual self. We did get started, and what we do, well, what our mission is, let me just read our mission to you right quick. I'm not going to do that because my husband is pressed for time. Let me say this right quick. I have a BMW and I have a Mercedes, and they're both classic. I have a black man working, so he got to get it. Okay, he has a Mercedes. Like I said, they both classic. So I'm not going to take too much time. I just want to. There's so much I really want to say, but I want to say this. We started our program. You're going to talk a little bit about the program too, right? I know you got to go. But anyway, with our program, we have quite a few people that came, and we had some that graduated. And what we provide is life skills. We provide, but it's different. It's different because it's homey. It's like where we're coming from. We provide, who's your thrust? Critical thinking. We had drumming by Rashid Ali. We had Sadiq, raise your hand, Sadiq. He also is a businessman, does his own business, and so he talked to the brothers about that. We had Wahid, you out there? Taha, he has his business, he talked about that. We had the Imam, talked about, you know, the life skills. We had the educational piece. And right now what we're adding on, I have an aunt that was an educator over 40 years. She ain't no need of no money or nothing. She got her property, all this stuff. But she's also concerned about us. So she has a reading program, and that program can be attained over the internet. So I hope everybody signs in. There's 2 sign-in sheets. And we want you to sign in, and I will forward that information to you either via text or email. Like I said, there's more I can say, but I know my husband got to get to work, and I want him to get to work too.
Okay, so let me go. Okay, briefly what I want to say is this. It's that I'm speaking to the believers, and I believe that everybody in here is a believer in God. But it's one thing to believe in God, but it's another to believe God. Yes. And the thing that we want to do is believe God. Yeah. God says in Scripture, people act according to his and her own disposition. The thing that I reflected on in that is, the word is called shakilah, a shackle, something that binds you and holds you to something. If we act according to our own disposition, God is saying that we are disposed to and by something. And the thing that we want to be disposed to and by is what he has prescribed for you and I. When we look at the world today, we see they got these different programs. I don't put AA down in NA because I went there, but it wasn't for me. I couldn't get out of it what I needed. And the thing that I needed, I found in Quran. So what I did was took what God gave me and developed a curriculum, Arise, alternative reform for the individual self exclusively. What that says is, Arise informs us, it enlightens us for us to arise, look down inside of ourselves, and bring out the gift that God has given us. As I tell most youngsters, when you look at Warren Buffett, you look at Steve Jobs, These guys was college dropouts, but if you look at them, they're some of the richest men in the world. How did they get to where they got? What they did was they looked inside of themselves and saw a potential that we don't utilize. And I tell the youth all the time, as well as adults, there's nothing inside of Warren Buffett that's not inside you. There's nothing inside of Steve Jobs that's not inside of you. When we see people pushing baskets with cans and bottles, and I tell them, you know what you're seeing? You're witnessing wasted potential. They have given up hope. The man gave a beautiful talk about us still today in 2016 feeling like we're victims. What we do is, by that frame of thinking, we victimize ourselves to not utilizing the gift that God has given us.
So our brother, he sent me a text. He said he's in Washington, D.C. I said, what you doing in Washington, D.C.? He said, I'm meeting with the senators and the congressmen about this reentry situation that they actually did a documentary about his reentry. When I first met Bilal, he had 150 years of life. Sometimes, I've never been in prison, I've worked in prison. Sometimes I had to make it like I understood. And I was trying to understand it. But here he is sitting before us, and I'm going to let him tell his own story about 5 minutes. Bilal Jackson.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أحمده وأستعينه وأستغفره وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, brothers and sisters, I was sentenced to 6 life sentences plus 150 years. So 6 life sentences in Santa Clara County wasn't enough. They needed another 150 years to go. I did have, at that time, a couple of prison priors, and so I had 3 additional years to go with that. But the judge found that to be cruel and unusual to give me 3 additional years. But he didn't when he gave me the 150. I'm from San Jose, from Santa Clara County. I was going to give you a quick, brief history of mine. I also ran through the crack addiction in the early 80s and 90s. I found that my way and the only way. Since then, of course, I went to prison. When I got to prison, took my shahada, found that to be the way, and found a way out. When I got there, I looked through this room, there's many brothers that are here that were with me, and we talked about some of the propositions that he had. Proposition 36, and by the will of Allah, is what allowed me to come home. Because my 3rd strike was just possession of methamphetamines. It was just a drug, just a petty drug crime. But in Santa Clara County, at the time when the 3-strike law came out, anything that you had on your 3rd strike, didn't matter what it was, no matter how strong it was, no matter how big it was, you got life sentence for each one. So I got arrested 6 times for it, 6 different cases, gave me 150 to life. So when I got out, I came straight to one of the SLEs. I went to a Christian-based SLE, and I was the only Muslim there. And I talked to my imam, several times. What do? There was no place for the Muslim to go, but there was an opportunity for me to come home. So when I went home, I did everything they said. I went to church, I did the things, and I just stayed true to myself. Fasted during the month of Ramadan, I did the classes that I needed to take, and I just practiced Islam. Also with that, I put together a resume, and on the resume, it asked me what I had done and where I had been for the last 8 years. And they said, where was my job? And I said, state of California. That was my job. I worked for the state of California for a lot of years. I put that down. I remember I went into an interview, and we talked about ban the box, and that was like the 3rd sentence down. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of a crime? And I put yes. And the thing about it is that the anxiety we all share when we get that. When you go to get an application, someone says, I got this job, and when you look at the application, the first thing on there, right when you go down on the first page, is they're ever been convicted of a crime. Because even when employers, when they look at it, they know where to look. They can go right down, they can scan the page, and they can see a part of the page that's filled out. That it should be blank if you've never been arrested or convicted, but it's a check mark, or there's some words in it, because then it says explain. So now you have to explain. So this part that was normally empty is full now. So that's a second thought right there. So I had that opportunity, I went, but I haven't gone so long, and if people don't know, normally, depending on the job you take, they only go back 1, 3, 5, 7. If you want any type of government job, usually it's 10 or more. Or if you're going to a job, just depending on where it is and depending on how classified the information is, they only go back about 7 years. So all of us brothers have been done so much time that gives you an opportunity. Most of the time, you're all clear. If you didn't know that, so I want you to know that. So do not be afraid. Do not have that anxiety. Fill out that application. And it says, have you ever been arrested or convicted? Put yes. You know, and put and say Bismillah. Leave it in the hands of Allah, inshallah. So I did that, and I got this job. And when I got this job, the one thing I told the employer is I was going to come to work every day and I was going to be on time. That was what I was going to give him. And I was going to have willingness to work. So that's what I did. I took 2 buses, a light rail, and another bus, and I got there every day and on time. I stayed there, and now, 3 years later, I was one of the employees. I have now 27 employees. I have 2 buildings, or 2 campuses, and I work for Applied Material. And our customer is Intel and Samsung. Also, throughout this time, I live in Santa Clara County. I also went and took a job at Levi Stadium. I'm a lead at one of the big gates. I was just at the Super Bowl, in fact. Last year was the first year of the stadium, and in the inaugural season, I was out of 4,009 employees, I was employee of the year. With that being said, now that they follow me and they've been seeing what's going on, I was also given the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and go to Capitol Hill, talk to senators and congressmen about what's going on, because people that keep saying, well, here's a guy that we let out that had 150 to life. What about all the other brothers and sisters that are still in jail? What would they do given the opportunity? They do the same thing we're doing, the same thing I'm doing. We would strive. So with that, I've been there. The documentary will be coming out in April, but this is a little history. This is a little of my itinerary coming up throughout the summer. I've already spoke to the DA of Santa Clara County because they want to know what can they do to assist us if they let people out. What did I do? What helped me make it? So I was able to spend some time with him. In March 17th, I will be in New York for the screening of the film. In April, I'll be back in New York for Tribeca Film Festival. In May, I will be in Monterey at TEDx Talk. In June, I will be in Baltimore talking to reentry because the crime rate in Baltimore is incredible, and they want to know if there's something we can do to help. In July, I'll be in Arizona speaking to veterans, even though I'm not a veteran, but they thought there was something we can do. I say all these things because we are all, the one thing that I want to also talk to you about and touch on is voting. I'm a registered voter. That's incredible. You know, they didn't ever want us out, but now we have an opportunity to make these changes. You know, people came out, people in this room, people went out and voted for us to get 3 strikes off. People voted for Prop 47. People voted for these things. It gave us this opportunity. Our voice is important. It's mandatory. I look around this room and I tell you this. I got real emotional. I got to see somebody's wife in this room that I spent a lot of time with. And, you know, I was able to look her in her eyes and her look at me. She would look at me and just like she's seeing him. And it was incredible. You know, it's moving to me, you know. It's breathtaking to me, you know, that these things happen. So there's a lot of us still there. Just because you're here, you're not done. Do not think that your work is done. Your work is starting. We got brothers and sisters still there that need our help. And you know what all your help is? It's by being positive, being honest, doing what you need to do. By the grace of God, I'll have 13 years clean and sober next month.
So we're going to bring this brother on with Project Peace, and he'll explain his project, and he has some wonderful assistance with him. And we're going to hear some more great stories. This is Jaleel Muhammad.
The name of the Lord, the minister merciful, all praise to the Lord, the minister merciful. I would like to set this mood by allowing somebody that's very, very special to this community and very special to me to say a poem. And she's saying this poem as a daughter of this community. all the men in here and all the women in here who have daughters, this is her voice.
So if y'all could please bear with me, okay? I'm a little nervous, and my sign of nervous bothers me, okay? So my name is Jamisha Harris, and I wrote this poem in dedication to everyone who has lost a loved one to the streets of Oakland, and it's entitled Another Day in Oakland.
Mic a little closer.
When I talk, may you listen, because I have something to say. But more like a question, so I'll continue anyway. To live and die young is the motto these days. But please tell me why we are living this way. 27 with a son, born in Oakland, raised in Oakland. Once had big dreams, but after 18, those were stolen. Mama raised me good and mama raised me strong, but that didn't matter. Because when you live in Oakland, there's too many changing factors. See, these streets are cold and these streets are mean. People say you blessed if you make it to see 18. So I guess I'm blessed twice, because I'm still alive. Because in Oakland you blessed if you make it to see 18 or 25. But why? And when I ask this question, I cry. Because I think about March 1st, the day my sister died. And believe it or not, she had just turned 25. And just 9 days after her birthday, some coward came and took her life away. And let's not forget about her daughter she left behind, who wakes up in the middle of the night to scream and to cry. Because life without her mom has become too real. And we all can agree that that's too much for an 8-year-old to feel. Or what about a mother who had to bury her own daughter? An ordained minister has so many questions for her father. Because out of all she instilled and all she taught her, she just couldn't understand why I had to be her daughter. And I could cry as I say this, but I'll move right along. Because in Oakland it's normal, you know, I'm not the only one. But I'm not okay with this, and neither should you.
Right.
And some of us are fed up, but there's nothing that we do. People are dying, mothers are crying, and babies are having babies. And how do we motivate our kids when people are dying daily? Man, this is crazy. Or should I say it's driving me crazy. See, I can still hear the screaming and the cries. I watched a man get killed right before my own eyes. And when he died, something in me died along with him. Because we made eye contact, but I still did not go get him. See, I couldn't go save him, for they had slayed him. And they would slay me too. If I'd answered any questions and I didn't play cool. And I live with this too. But what could I do? If I'd done anything different, should they kill me too?
I want to thank her from that poem because that came from the heart. And as I thought about what I wanted to say today, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to speak from the heart. I'm going to open up in the name of Allah, Beneficent and Merciful. And as a tradition, I want to thank Allah for all his prophets, from Adam to Ibrahim to Moses, Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, and all the great men who has blessed us with scripture. I would be remiss not to thank Allah for just giving me a regular man in the Imam. Imam Shuaib, Imam Abdul Raoul, the Imam right here, the brother Mujahid, who was the Imam on the yard. You know, we had Imams on the yard when we didn't have Imams to come to the yard. As the late, great Tupac once said, after every dark night is a brighter day. So my darkest day was April 23rd, 1990, when I stood in Alameda County Superior Court, and I was sentenced to life in prison, plus 10 years and 4 months. Like the brother spoke, they told me to do the 10 years, 4 months first, because if I did the life sentence first and died, I still owe them 10 years and 4 months. That's what they told me. 19 years later, it was time for me to go home. And they told me when I went to the board that I needed a job, and that I needed a place to stay, and I needed parole plans. And I was blessed to be around brothers on the yard who was blessed to be around the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he told them to do for self. So as I was on the dip boards in 21 building, me and my brother, Rakib, decided if you need a job, start your own job. You need a place to stay, get your own place to stay. So I started Project Peace. I developed 4 programs, which was crime and delinquency, alcohol and recovery, getting out and staying out, even though I wasn't out yet. So I was the first brother from Project Peace to went to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation as a recipient of Project Peace. And they found me suitable and they allowed me to come home. And one of the things that I told them was, when I get out, I'm gonna be the executive of Project Peace and this is where I'm gonna work at. That was my job. Remember, I didn't have no job. So I got out with Project Peace. I'm thankful for the presence of this building and everybody who's here, from the staff, from the imam, to the sisters that prepared the food and the brothers that assisted. But let me share this something with you. As a young, teenage, adolescent, nappy-haired boy, I went to school right here at Fremont High School. Class of '86. Started selling weed over there on 50th Avenue with my cousins over there after they Livingston, right? My point is this. I was able to go from high school, skip right by the Masjid, and go straight to 50th, and I was on the block grinding at 14. I didn't even know about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or that it was an imam here that was teaching about marriage, or that it was classes here to teach me how to be a man, a black man. And when I was in prison, one of the things that made me change my life, my mother asked me this all the time. She said, well, what was it that made you change your life? I said, for the first time, I seen what a real black man was when I seen the imams and some of the ministers come up in there. Because prior to that, the only black man that I seen was Fee, me, Hard, Lil Partner, AF. You know who I'm talking about. My folks, right? Them was my examples. And I was a little homie and I followed him all the way to the penitentiary. And I heard a brother once tell me, well, if you gonna follow me to hell, will you follow me to heaven? And I decided to follow the brother to heaven, and that's what began my tenure. But it's really not about me. I just wanted to briefly share that. It's really about every brother who's here, who have came home, who has blessed their family with their presence, who has taken care of their children, who is being fathers, brothers, uncles, and pillars in the community. All the brothers that filed their tax return this year. You remember we used to get 11 cents an hour. Now we file the taxes. It's a plan, think about it, right? You know, I'm looking out at the crowd and I'm seeing all my brothers. You know, TP just came home. I don't even know how much he did. I think he did 30 because he was there before me and he was there after me. I did 20. So I want to welcome him home.
I see reference from life because I deal with temptations daily. So Wayne, thank you. For many years, the tapes, even though we couldn't see you, the tapes fell out. I was with Lady Sally for many years. That was part of me coming to the day for me and Sister Dia. Seeing him come in as a Muslim family in the visit room, you know, when you see him come in, like people respected them, was like, wow, you know, it was different. Dorsey Nunn, this brother right here, what he talks about, making promises. I had an organization in DBI called the African American History Committee. This brother supported me many years. And he inspired me and motivated me to want to get up out of there. When sometimes I didn't want to come home. I wanted to stay in that life like you talked about. You know, we have the money inside there. It's prison money, but we think we live in a life and we wasn't. We didn't see people going home. But this brother went home many years before we did and was talking about, come home. We need you out there. The sister too. I was like, okay, I started listening. He came in faithfully. He didn't charge no money or nothing. And when I came on the event he talked about 6 months ago, I was there. Everybody there was formerly incarcerated, not only from Oakland, LA, but from all over the United States. You know, he bust them in. They paid, we paid for our own people to come and meet, network, and come up with solutions to our problems. They even went to Washington, D.C. Exactly. And I want to go to the next one. But I did 32 years in prison. I was only 7. I was a juvenile when I went in prison, so I never really lived a life outside here. Going into the prison and coming to the dean opened my eyes to a lot of things. I started to focus on education while I was in prison. I came home with an A and I was trying to get my bachelor's degree, so I was at San Francisco State. And another school invited me to their school to get my bachelor's. I graduated with my bachelor's through this brother right here.
سيدنا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beautiful, wonderful gathering. I'll say it, and I believe it's true, that I'm going to be brief. I believe it's true. But in any case, the many things that came to mind, one of the things that Sheikh Abdurrahman, we say Sheikh Abdurrahman, one thing he said, it's funny, but it ain't no joke. You know, and that's a phrase to hold on to. You know, so many things in our life, they're funny, they make you laugh, but they ain't no joke. And this, the prison industrial complex, you know, the new Jim Crow and all of these things that you all know, that most of you, I should say, know better than I do. It's a very critical thing. Just the power that's in the room. We talk about the years done in prison, but then that also means there's a great deal of experience there, and so many credentials and so much learning, so many skills that were developed, which would otherwise not have been developed were it not for the circumstances. And I'm reminded whenever I see people like those who've addressed us this morning, that, you know, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, respecting what Abdul Rauf just said, you know, some of it's our fault, quote unquote, in that sense. So we have to always take self-responsibility for that is your share to the extent of your knowing it. But also, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts you through things because He already knows that you're going to be all right. You're going to get through it. But it's so that you'll be able to help somebody else, because they won't know how to handle what you handle because you were really built for it. Allah knew that you were built for it. And so you were in training, you were in God's training, you were in God's school. And so when you finished, you literally graduated, and when you came through the gate, and when you gave your number back, where's Abdul Malik at? He's on the job. She said her BMW, that's a good thing. Y'all know what that BMW is, right? Right, black man working, that's it. I want to say this about faith. Faith is real. Faith is real. And it applies to what Jalil's saying, it's probably what we heard from Bilal, and it actually applies to all of you that are here now, where before you didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Somewhere you actually had this real faith that I'm talking about. You had faith. Whether you were conscious of it or not, whether you were really, stimulating it, nurturing it or not, you really had faith. And that faith sustains you. That faith is what moves you. That faith is what carries you. I understand that there are Christians in the house, and Muslims don't have anything against Christians who follow what Allah has revealed and who want to serve humanity in the way that the picture of Christ is represented. We believe that. And Muslims who really are Muslim, they believe in the scripture that came before the Quran as well. That's among the earliest verses that are revealed in the Quran. We believe in what was revealed to you and revealed after, what was revealed before your time. And I want to point to one verse as relates to faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. Many Muslims oftentimes just don't see that that's also what the Quran is saying when the Quran says that man can have but what he strives for. And soon will what he strives for come into sight, and he'll be rewarded with the fullest reward.
Yeah, we want to remind you about the marriage conference. That's what we need more than anything almost from you, brother. We need you to come and marry some of these sisters. We want you to be qualified when you do it. So come to this marriage conference, and I'm sure if you want to come and you feel close to price-wise, talk to us and we can make it happen. Yeah. So, but that's one of the steps in getting ready to marry one of these sisters. You got to be able to, you got to have something in your pockets. It ain't gonna work out. Other than that, I don't care how much she loves you, you love her. So all this kind of information will be detailed in fine detail at the conference. What do you want? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar.
African man, I really like the way you stand. I really like the way
traveling across America. When I call out your city, your condition, I want you to sing right up and get on board this train. Are y'all ready for the train? Chicago, Boston, Detroit, and New York City. Come on, ready for the train. Cleveland, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and D.C. City. Ready for the train. Tuskegee and National Bayou and New Jersey City. Y'all ready to come on the train? New Orleans, Shreveport, Miami, and Liberty City. Come on, get on the train. Let's go, y'all. Come on, let's go riding, riding, riding. Let's go ride on the New Africa train. We're headed for a new destination. Let's go riding, riding, riding. Let's go riding on the New Africa train. I want to talk to those of the old school right now. You attended the FOI class this week, and you sold a whole lot of Muhammad speech. Come on, get on this train. Let's go ride. If you're fasting during the month of Ramadan, and you ate beans, soup, and food, don't break a dime. Come on, get on this train. Let's go riding. If you're a bona fide MTV, remember the lessons taught in the GCC. Come on, get on this train. Let's go riding. If you're so white and AG and drink black coffee instead of tea, come on, get on this train. Let's go riding. Hey, let's go riding, riding, riding. Let's go riding on the train. We headed for a new destination. Let's go riding, riding, riding. Come on, let's go riding on the train. I want to talk to the new school right now. If you read every type of Holy Quran, you have the month of Ramadan. Come on, get on this train. Let's go riding. If you pray 5 times a day and within your Muslim 40 days, come on, get on the train and let's go riding. If you declare my Islam, Muhammad, Rasulullah, come on, get on the train. If you want to start your destiny under the guidance of Imam Waritheen, come on, get on this train and let's go riding.
For Elijah and Waritheen, they make up the mighty few. A new perspective on the unseen, changing our whole point of view. We are descendants of great kings and queens. We know now what we have to do. Authenticated and fully redeemed, a people were made all brand new. Destiny came in 3 stages, history made in 3 phases. A lesson was learned from 3 sages, a blueprint for life on 3 pages. Follow the prophet and follow the deen, light of the truth shining through. Alignment, justice, and other writing, with insights from the mighty few. Destiny came in 3 stages, history made in 3 phases. A lesson was learned from 3 sages, a blueprint for life on 3 pages. All the way up from slavery, freedom, justice, and equality.